Today's video is going to be my review of the Steyr L9 on its 1000 round plus review, along with Ranger Point Precision's solid guide rod and recoil management weight. You have to bear with me, I'm going to be cutting through a few videos demonstrating. This is also going to include a small torture test. On this particular 9mm, I've been carrying it for 2 months and put over 550, 600 rounds without any cleaning, testing to see if I could come up with some type of failure with doing these upgrade parts, and also seeing if I had any extractor problems. Just kind of a small torture test. So that's what we've been doing, and we'll get into what's all going on. Alright guys, the first part I upgraded in this L9 was the solid guide rod. I removed out the old Polymer Guide Rod, replaced it with the solid steel guide rod and capture nut. That was the first one. The second upgrade I did was the recoil weight in the front from Ranger Point. Like I said, also on this one I've been doing a torture test. I wanted to see if I could come up with some type of failure to feed, failure to extract, cycle issue, something. I haven't. You're going to notice in the top of this, or inside this slide, there is a lot of copper fouling that's from the ammo that I use. Primarily when I go out to the range just to do a bunch of testing, I shoot a lot of Winchester, 115 grain, 124 grain, white box. It runs a little dirty. After that I shoot 147, some plus Ps, but for the most part it's just solid full metal jacket, so you're going to see what's in here. When I'm start off with a clean weapon, normally everything's cleaned out with oil, and then I grease. I just use gun grease, keep everything coated, because I don't know, how long I'm going to carry in a holster, how long it's going to sit on the shelf, heat up and down. We're here in West Tennessee, so a lot of my days out shooting are, 85 plus degrees, hot, sweaty, and I don't like the oil just to run out. I want a little grease to stay in there. But this is what the inside looks like after 600 plus rounds, 700 rounds since the last time I cleaned it. It might even be more. This might actually be a full 1,000 rounds since the last time I cleaned it. It's been definitely been a few weeks, probably 2 months or so, with no cleaning and with everyday carry. So that's what the slide looks like on the bottom. Getting into your lower, no visible wear on the outside. Everything's still good. No issues. Inside, just really dirty. I've noticed for powder burns on the right hand side, right above where the safety lockout switch is at, on the inside you'll notice you have a set of serial numbers. And I actually did contact Steyr and ask them what these numbers represented on the frame, and what also there's a set on the slide right here at the very front where the front of the guide rod goes. These particular numbers are strictly for the Austrian plant for batch numbers or case numbers. They do not represent any date codes or anything. I believe it's probably just the person or the machine where they were cut. Really couldn't get a great answer except that some type of batching numbers. So if you were wondering what those were for, that's basically it. It's just some type of parts clearing at their warehouse. Going back in though, you'll notice there's a lot of powder burn buildup over here. That's about the only inside spot off the feeding ramp that I noticed inside for any access wear. Nothing much, but did notice it kind of builds up over here. As you can see, here's the Ranger Point recoil weight. It has not been messed with. This is still dirty inside the chassis. Since the last video, when I actually installed this, there's no Loctite, no glue, nothing. This is strictly held in with the 2 retaining screws, one in the front, one in the back. It drops in. The only thing that I did on this when I put it in was I double checked to make sure that the screw clearances were level with the inside of the frame. So if I can rotate this around, catch the angle just right. That's all that was done. The screws have not loosened, the weight has not moved, the guide rod and spring, nothing's touched, there's no scratches, everything is good inside. Absolutely no issues, no problems with that. So that's where we're at kind of on the torture test and what's been done. What we're going to get into is an actual weight difference. I have a digital scale here. It does ounces all the way up to poundage, up to 5 or 6 pounds. We're actually going to measure out what the weight difference is in the Polymer Guide Rod, the spring, and the solid steel guide rod. And we're actually going to give an exact tear weight for the L model recoil weight. So once I get this cleaned up and pulled apart, we'll weigh out. I'll tell you what all the weight numbers are and tell you what the difference is in your exact forward weight. And like I said in the other video, when you have a full mag, everything's put back together, the gun is now perfectly balanced right here at your lugs. I mean, the balance point is pretty much right here now in the gun. Without this weight in the front, it feels very heavy. It feels like the weight balance point is back here at the slide lock. So with just adding, and this is supposed to be, I believe it's 1.3 ounces is what Ranger Point says they are. It actually helps, which for a reference point, 1.3 ounces is close to 3 additional rounds of 115 grain full metal jackets. So if you kind of want to get an idea, put 3 rounds on the tip, that'll put you close enough to what this weight actually weighs. Alrighty, well, we're going to get this thing cleaned up and then we'll start weighing everything out. Alright everyone, now that we've got some things cleaned up, we're going to see what it looks like cleaned, and we're also going to see what the tear weight is and the differences on the factory Polymer Guide Rod versus the solid steel guide rod, and an exact weigh out on the recoil weight. To start off, here's your Polymer Guide Rod. Came out of my L model from my previous video. As you can see, I had to melt the tip to get the spring off. The spring itself comes in at 0.2 of an ounce. This guide rod also comes in at 0.2 of an ounce. So a total of your factory guide rod and factory spring when you first get your pistol will be 0.4 of an ounce. So minusing 0.2 of an ounce, your solid Ranger Point solid steel guide rod is showing 1.6, so minus off 0.2 would be 1.4 ounces is what you're going to gain in forward muzzle weight just with this solid recoil spring assembly. The Ranger Point recoil weight for the L model is to weigh in at 1.3 pounds or 1.3 ounces. And it does, exactly, 1.3. Now your 2 set screws that go into the front of the chassis, even adding them to the weight, it's not even enough to even register on the scale. So you're not even picking up 1/10 of an ounce. So 1.3. So in combination with your recoil weight and solid guide rod, you're going to come out with a total of 2.9 ounces. So just short of 3 ounces for additional muzzle weight. Well, there you have it. You come out with your exact weight for your recoil weight is 1.3 ounces exact. Your spring and solid guide rod come out to 1.6 being combined. So your full additional weight is just at 3 ounces of additional forward weight over your factory system. My ending review and comments for this video will be, if you're looking to manage your recoil on your pistol, for if it's an L model, an M, an S or a C, these parts are available through all Steyr pistols. This is just, for me on this particular one, I'll speak strictly on the L model. If you want to shoot more accurate with a little less recoil, muzzle rise, this is a great way to do it. If you're going to shoot your 147 grain plus P ammo, this is definitely the way you want to go. My thoughts on these parts: the solid guide rod should be the first upgrade. I mean, if you're going to upgrade or do anything to these pistols to start with, this should be your first route. In addition, the recoil weight is the next one you should do. It works. Ranger Point is offering both of these now as a combo for your desired pistol, whether if it's an M or a C, any model, any caliber. All you got to do is just ask and they can put it together. I don't know what they're charging. You'll have to go to their website and look up that for yourself. I don't do anything with their pricing. I just use their products and get to enjoy them. I did comment when I first did the review on the brass recoil weight. Hopefully I'll get this close enough so you can see up here in the front. It won't be too shiny. I had said this was laser engraved. I am mistaken. It was their logo is not laser engraved. It is actually CNC milled into their product. I don't know why I was thinking laser engraved. I rather had a slip up and a brain fart. So wanted to correct that. This is actually milled right into the weight. So there's that. The full view of it on the screws, I've had people ask, oh, should I put any glue or Loctite? No, I don't believe it's necessary. As hot as I've gotten this pistol running on constant mag dumps and just running and running, I've had no issues with this weight wanting to come out of the chassis or the screws wanting to back out. They're fine thread, it's set. Once you put this in and lock it, it's good. The only thing that I stated before is when you install this, make sure that you set your screws to the proper depth. That way you don't have to worry about the spring catching on top of the screw. The easiest way to do it, as I stated before, is once you set the screw, is to take your Allen key and run it on top of the brass and pull back. If it bumps before you can go totally across it without it falling down, then it's too high. You can also do it with the tip of your fingernail, run it across. If it catches, just push the screw down a little bit more. Just be very careful that you do not over tighten the screws into the brass. Here on the solid guide rod, would recommend in the front Loctite, a little bit of fingernail polish like I stated in my other videos. Make sure you torque it, let it set for a couple hours. Primarily I would do this and let it set overnight. It shouldn't come out, but you don't need to lose the fine thread capture nut for your spring and shoot the spring out the front of, out the front of the gun and then have an issue. So if you're going to, and when you install your solid guide rod, do it at night, clean your pistol, set this up, let it set overnight, reassemble in the morning, and you'll be good to go. My ending review for 1000+ rounds through the Steyr pistol, 1000 rounds on the solid guide rod, 500+ rounds on the weight, and a general torture test of the last 500 to 700 rounds on this pistol. It'll state it like this: I've had 0 issues on failure to extract, failure to load, or to cycle at all. I have not cleaned nor lubricated any of these parts in the last stated 500+ rounds through the weapon. Wanted to see if I could get it to fail, and I could not. I've had 0 issues whatsoever with this pistol to operate. And adding these parts all I've done is improved. In my eyes, I've improved my accuracy. I've improved the handling of the pistol, and I recommend them. If you want to try something, help with the jump in the wrist. If you shoot high-end 147, hot ammunition, if you do your own reloading, definitely a way to do it. I've enjoyed it quite much, and hope to see what else comes out in the future with Ranger Point, building some fine products and actually taking the lead for Steyr. You're not going to find too many people that are actually producing aftermarket parts. But that's what I've done, and that's where we're at. Well, I'm going to end this video in saying I hope you enjoy what I'm doing, and if you do, hit the like button, subscribe. Don't forget, we also are on Facebook at TnSteyr,